What is good, YouTube? It is your boy Anime Devil Hunter, and I hope everyone's having an awesome day, man. Hakari is finally about to enter combat. Boy, oh boy, man. We have been waiting for this for such a long time. Like, I don't know how long we've been speculating Hakari theories, like, regarding what's his ability, how strong he is, and it looks like we're about to finally get it, man. And aside from Hakari this chapter, we actually got introduced to a pretty interesting character. I personally like him, and I cannot wait to see how strong he is, like where his story goes, and his resolve to his conflict. And man, I'm just excited, man. Anyways, we are about to get straight into this chapter review. But before we do, if you are new to Anime Devil Hunter, welcome. Here on this channel, we cover all sorts of dope Jujutsu Kaisen content, weekly reviews, breakdowns from time to time, analysis coming soon, and more. So definitely subscribe and join the channel. Drop a like if you end up enjoying the video, and definitely comment down below and let me know how you felt about the chapter. With that being said, let us begin. So we got Jujutsu Kaisen on the cover of Weekly Jump. We got our boy Yuta. That's my guy right there. We got Megumi and we got Yuji. And speaking of Yuji and Megumi, I really miss those boys, and I hope we get to turn back to them soon after, we get everyone's round of fights. But yeah, man, we are about to get straight into this chapter. So we get a little introduction into a new character whose name is Charles Bernard. I believe that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. So we get the words on the side again today. There's someone who wants to create the world known as manga. So we get a little dialogue to start the chapter off, and I believe it's our boy Charles at Shueisha submitting his visitor's registration. So we get the security guards or whoever's looking at the application saying, hey, that guy just now, the foreign kid he came to submit a manga. You don't see that often. We then get a color spread of Ryu and Uro to celebrate the 4th anniversary of serialization. And congratulations, Jujutsu Kaisen has been a wonderful series. I really enjoy it. It's got me through some rough times, and it's definitely my favorite thing to cover on the channel. And it's by far right now the series I'm enjoying the most out of all the series that I've been reading, including Jump and Seinen, even though Shoujo X has been phenomenal. Shout out to Sui Ishida. But man, I absolutely love Jujutsu Kaisen. So we got Uro and Ryu on the cover. Ryu has his hair down. I believe he only wears pomodoros when he's getting ready to have a domain expansion battle. And we got Uro, speaks for herself, you feel me? So we started chapter off with some dialogue between Yuta and Ryu. And Ryu says to Yuta, you're the one who will reach your limit. I've seen it all before. Sorcerers, cursed spirits. It doesn't matter. The only ones who are able to transcend beyond merely strong are those with an overwhelming sense of self and a complete disregard for others. Natural disasters, as we see Sukuna. So essentially, Ryu's saying Yuta can't really reach his peak without reaching that sense of self to the point, he doesn't care about others around him. He only strives to, attain strength. And, that's Sukuna's ideology. Sukuna doesn't give a damn about anyone beside himself. Everyone is merely a pawn to him. And Yuta's he's just not that type of person, Anyway, moving on, Ryu says, you're too sweet, Okatsu. That is in praise. And at the moment, Yuta is zoning out. He's watching the birds fly. He's looking at the sky. And Ryu then asks, sparing sorcerers who seriously fight to the death is useless. Yuta then says, Uro said the same thing. Ryu's like, so she's alive. Makes sense. As a domain expansion, my blast can only be so strong. That woman wouldn't stop whining. Are you guys on a lover's tiff? Yuta then says, I guess you could say that. Ryu then says, please pay more attention to her. Yuta then says, anything I say will end in violence. She won't listen to me because unlike her, I'm blessed. And I just really love how, after this intense, awesome match that we got between, these three, narrowing down between Yuta and Ryu, they're finally able to just sit down, have a conversation. It's just really cool, I didn't really expect to end like this. I would have thought Yuta would have killed him, but I'm really happy with this ending, because it's not really in Yuta's character to just be a merciless killer. He's a kind-hearted dude, you feel me? And I just loved, the fact that they could just sit down and chill and have a great conversation following, their intense matchup. Anyway, moving on, Ryu then says, I see, but we get, he actually thinks to himself, I really don't get it, but hey, whatever. Yuta then says, eyes away, please give me your point. We then get the Kokone appear and says, rule number 10, players may transfer a number of points of their choosing to another player. Ryu then says, so that's how it is. If it wasn't for this, you would have killed us both, huh? Yuta then gets up, he stretches, and he says, would I? You should thank my friends for that. You then get the narrator. We then get the narrator. After receiving points from Uro, Takao, and Ishiguri Ryu, Okatsu owns 200 points. I wonder how Uro came along to give him his points. But anyways, our boy Yuta's ranking up on points. You feel me? He got 200 points. Following this, we then see Miwa. So I don't know what's going on, but she's approaching Yuta's area, and she possibly has some news, probably, who knows, regarding on Kenjaku. Who knows, she might have got word Kenjaku's onto some crazy, you feel me? But anyways, before I move on to the next part of the chapter, I really want to talk about something. Throughout the Culling Games, it seems like, aside from Fushiguro, that we've been slowly gathering allies that'll possibly come to help us in the end. You feel me? Like, Yuji and Higurama, they ended off on a good note. Yuta, Uro, and Ryu, they ended off on a good note. Possibly the reason why we might be gathering these allies, and even Megami, even though he necessarily didn't recruit Reggie, he did get Takaba. I want to say they have a friendship, because there's no way Fushiguro and him are, feel me, sitting down to have a chat about anything. But they did form some type of partnership, So it feels like that we're recruiting all these allies, to prepare for something huge at the end of the Culling Games. I think all of these guys are gonna come back at some point in the story to help us, and who knows, it might be we might get a civil war between the higher ups, you feel me, or we might get a battle going on with Kenjaku and whatever the hell he has planned. But anyways, I feel like it's a reason why Gege is doing this. It's a reason why he's not killing off these characters immediately. I feel like they're gonna have some sort of purpose later on in the story. But anyways, let's move on for now. So right now we're at Shueisha. And we're back to our guy Charles Bernard. I believe that was his name. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. But anyways, yeah, he's trying to get his work checked out, and he's currently sitting with an editor. An editor says to him, "What makes a mangaka a mangaka? Looks like it's not there's a license to be a mangaka. Do you have serialization experience? Well, that's a little rude to ask. Have you been published?" Now that's an outdated question. So Charles and the editor are just going back and forth, bickering. Moving on, the editor then says, question, "You speak Japanese very well." As we see Charles Bernard sit on a table. Charles Bernard then says, "You too speak Japanese very well." And the editor is like, "But I'm Japanese." Charles Bernard then says, "And I was born and raised in Japan. My parents are French. What are you experiencing now is me in my entirety." And the editor is like, sorry. He then says, "No worries." The editor is like, this guy's a bit strange. He then looks at his story and he realizes that it's based on Ikuyu-san and the tiger. So it appears to be some outdated Japanese story that's possibly been referenced in a whole bunch of the manga. Anyways, Charles then says, "Let's try to get along. After reading my manga, you realize that we'll have a long and fruitful relationship in the future." We then get a look at his manga and the editor doesn't seem to be too pleased. He then says, "Stories based on legends or classic stories are pretty common, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But isn't this a little too adult oriented?" Charles then said, "Pretty common." The editor then says, "The main character gets pranked by the general every night and has to deal with illogical problems like how to catch a tiger in a screen. But the tiger is actually a cat girl and the main character is enchanted by her. Instead of using the improvised witty dialogue, he just copied the same answer Ikuyu-san did in the original story. It's hard to understand, or perhaps you could say in the context is just too specific. We're a shonen magazine after all. The later developments are quite curious. Is this a comedy or horror? If you want to combine multiple genres, you'll find it weakens the story." Which I kind of disagree. I mean, look at Hunter x Hunter. We could shift from this lighthearted, shonen adventure to a series that's really dark and almost feels like a seinen at times. So I don't know about that. But hey, I'm not a mangaka. I'm not an editor. I wouldn't know. Anyways, the editor then adds, "And the sketches are exceedingly inadequate, like this one. Real fingers wouldn't bend this way. Here, look closely." And Charles gets pissed and he actually grabs the editor's fingers and he breaks his finger. He like, "Now it's the same as the manga, right?" Charles then says, "If you really care so much about realism, then just watch live action movies or look at photos." We then get introduced. Culling game player Charles Bernard. Looks like I've been saying his name correctly. You guys gotta definitely drop a like for that, you feel me? Charles then gets up and he raises his voice and says, "What kind of place is this? Are you really a publishing house? How come you don't get it? The boldness and fear that those technically correct drawings can never reveal. I'm done speaking with you." So the editor then gets ready to call the guards, but Charles is pissed and he leaves the facility. He starts thinking to himself, what the hell is it? What is a manga? What is a mangaka? The answer, and at this point, we find out that the whole entire time he was actually telling Hakari how his day was going on. He then says to Hakari, "Have you figured it out yet?" And Hakari's pissed. He says, "Well, if I have." We then find out that the date is actually November 12th and it's actually 12 o'clock. Charles and Hakari are actually on a Ferris wheel while the Culling Games is going on. Bro, what is good with Hakari, man? Charles then says to Hakari, "Luckily the electricity is still working around here." Hakari then says, "I'm not feeling lucky at all. I've resorted to riding a Ferris wheel with a guy." Charles then says, "You could have turned me down, Hakari then says, "This is just a preview. After all, I don't know when I'll be able to come here with a woman." Charles then says, "You're so optimistic. Do you really think Tokyo will ever come back to normal after this?" That's the exact opposite of me. I came here to watch the final scene from afar. Ever since Tokyo filled up with monsters with curses, no one's publishing manga anymore. In the end, mangaka and editors ended up the same way. I respected them. I loved them. I felt this way towards so many mangakas, towards so many work. I need to ask you something. Give me a reason to fight. In the Cullen game, the only reasons to fight are negative. Whereas in a battle manga, you have to give readers a positive reason. Please, let me hate you. Hate you so much that I want to kill you. Hakari then says, "You're a mangaka, right?" Charles then says, "Oui," which is French for yes. Hakari then says, "I wouldn't read your manga even if you begged me to. I don't want to catch your gloomy funk. Stop whining, go all out. Disgusting otaku." And Charles gets so pissed to the point my boy is crying. Hakari, man, Hakari's just a menace, bro, I swear. Charles gets pissed. He then says, "Why'd you have to say something so awful?" And that is how we end the chapter. Boy, I'm so excited to see where this goes. We finally about to get introduced to Hakari's power, as well as Charles Bernard. Like, I'm really curious to see, like, what's his power. We had Higurama, who had the curse technique regarding law. It worked with his field. We had Reggie Star, little pun, which had to do with receipts. Uro-chan, I wouldn't really say, those were kind of weird. Uro and Ryu, they were really weird. But I would say Kuroshi, the whole thing with the bugs and whatever the hell had going on, that worked with him. And I'm really curious to see, like, what's Charles' curse technique gonna be. But anyways, man, I feel like this video has went on for long enough. Man, Jujutsu Kaisen is finally back, and man, what a way to come back from a break. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Drop a like if you did. Hit the subscribe button for more awesome Jujutsu Kaisen content. Comment down below and let me know how you felt about the chapter. And it is your boy, Anime Devil Hunter, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Have an awesome day.